Yeah, so my name is Miguel Carames. I'm the Chief Product Officer here at Mobileum. I've been in the industry for 25 years, give or take, different roles. I started at the vendor many months ago in Motorola. Then I spent 13 years at Verizon. And then the last 2.5 at Mobileum. And at Mobileum, really, we are all about solving pain points for our customers, right? For the operator community. The Mobileum of today is very different from the original Mobileum. We have 5 very distinct business units. So we help our customers on the roaming area and core network side, but also on security, testing, revenue assurance, fraud prevention, and DPI and analytics. So it's all about being very flexible, very agile, and minimizing the time between pain point and a solution for the customer. When Mobileum started organically was on roaming. That was the original roamware, right? That then was named Mobileum. Security came kind of as an add-on, and then inorganically the company grew quite a bit, incorporating all these other businesses that were in adjacent parts of the market, which really have been really good for us because now I like to talk in terms of Lego pieces, right? So you have many components that you can put together to address unique needs that the customer might have, right? Like when you look at, as an example, voice security, you'll have a real-time component, which is very network-centric, which comes from the traditional roaming and security part of the business. But then you have the need for machine learning and offline, very deep analytics, which comes from the fraud management side of the business. And you put them together to create this voice security, as an example. A lot has happened in the last 10, 15 years. And I think as an industry, at Telecom, we are very critical on ourselves. Maybe we don't give ourselves credit for what we accomplished. But 10, 15 years ago, there was only 3G roaming. We were starting to talk about one day possibly doing VoLTE roaming. And now you're talking about how 2G, 3G networks are going away. You were talking about data rates in the order of kilobits per second. And now you're talking up to gigabit per second, right? Some of the concepts like MEC or doing AI over a wireless network were sci-fi back then, right? So a lot has changed. I think we have some challenges, right? I think we need to be fair and be realistic. I think the regulatory environment sometimes maybe makes the telcos not be able to compete with the over-the-tops as efficiently and effectively as they could. So I think there is an area of opportunity there, but there is still a lot of innovation in the industry. Yeah, the main ones, as I mentioned before, regulatory is a challenge, right? We are a global industry, yet regulation is not, right? So you have pockets of different rules and laws that apply in different places. Now, macro conditions also at play. How they impact the industry remains a little bit to be seen. And then we have very, very competitive pressures, right? Everybody feels them. Our customers feel them, and then us as vendors and solution providers feel them as well. So those are probably the top 3. The main value prop for Mobileum remains the same. We have to be the cost-efficient, really fast vendor to our customers, right? Where we shine usually is where there is a new opportunity, a new pain point, a new business need that has to be delivered and addressed real quick. And usually is maybe too specific or too niche for, say, the big network vendors to provide, think the Ericssons, the Huawei's and so on. It might not be a priority for them, or they might not have that specific niche domain. And that's where we shine, right? We bring the technology and the domain knowledge. Many of us actually have been on both sides by now, right? So we know what life looks like at the other side, and we can bring that agility in terms of delivering solutions. So I think I have to say artificial intelligence, right? Because it's the kind of the buzzword of the moment, but it's very real when you look at the kind of what we are seeing in the market, we're hearing from our customers and even ourselves internally. There are a lot of efficiencies and opportunities that come with artificial intelligence. We see it internally, but we also see it in the way the products are going to evolve. It can be from being more efficient in the way we handle the huge amounts of data that networks generate now, right? Like when you look at the 4G and 5G network, huge amounts of data. And there are a lot of valuable insights. No human can process that data, right? So artificial intelligence, machine learning, which we've been using in the products for probably the best part of the last 10 years, really help enrich those products. But then when you look at usability, that's probably where Gen AI shines, where now you have often products that were very technical in nature, but now the heavy users are business people, and they can interface with the product in a more kind of organic way, simpler way, and still get their value and their benefits. Yeah, so a big part of the priorities for what we call our AOP, our annual operating plan, has been in incorporating AI in the top products. Some we are going to be showing this week. We showed at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona as well. And they are going to market between now and the summer. Yeah, so we see a lot of interest, right, like from customers. And then we see, again, talking about that agility from pain point to solution, we see that the need is there for some of the products to be simplified from a usability perspective. And so that's where we are prioritizing. Just by the very nature of the solutions we provide, we need to be ready ahead of the demand, right? So for 5G SA, we've been ready in some of the products for the last 2 years, right? Like on the testing side, for example, on the security side. I think what we've seen is the deployment of SA has been slower than everybody was anticipating. Certainly that's been my experience as well. As I was working on SA on the operator side, really by now, 4 or 5 years ago, right? And I think once the 5G NSA launch happened, maybe a lot of the sense of urgency was lost, right? Because some of the value prop for the customer was already delivered. You had the speeds, you had the icon. But now, finally, I think you start to see some of the operators that have deployed at scale. Now they see the opportunity to do the things that SA can do and NSA cannot do, right? Like network slicing-based use cases and so on. So we have the support built in and really across the portfolio, and we're very excited because now finally we see the first integrations, the testing happening. So this is really a game time. Yeah, so what we've seen from customers is kind of the same topic. They are waiting for the very clear value prop for the customer, and then kind of that not being super clear, where does it fit within their priorities, right? And the last couple of years, it's been all about VoLTE, right? Because even though VoLTE roaming started back in 2013, right, 2014, it didn't really happen at scale until the 2G, 3G shutdowns started to happen, and it became very real for the operator that in some markets, you were going to have either VoLTE roaming or some sort of intermediate interworking solution, right? And now that's happened, so everybody's working at very high pace in getting VoLTE agreements in place, and now SA is following, right? And we start to see it, but I think that's really what happened, right? The NSA went to market first, then everybody had this priority on VoLTE, a lot of IoT work as well, and it was just not a priority, but now it's getting to the top. Yes, it's a really good question, and I think it's pretty much inevitable, right? Like every time you go in the first couple of years of the new tech, and especially in our area in roaming, that's where you're going to find all the gray space that was not fully defined in the specs by the very nature of the way the specs are created. So there's going to be a lot of need for testing. There's going to be a lot of need for interworking, right? Because a particular parameter in a particular message a network might not like, and you have to change it or mediate it out. And then there is going to be a lot of need even for managed services, right? Once it picks up speed and there is competitive pressure, right? Like you'll start to see the announcements that now I have 5 years of roaming with this many partners in these many countries. you as an MNO don't want to fall behind, right? You want to be competitive with your competitors in your market. And then once some of these new offerings or features that 5GS enables, like slicing or being able to do local breakout for low latency services more efficiently, when they become real and now it becomes a need for your enterprise customers, then there is no way but to pick up speed, right? Because the enterprise customers care about a global reach, right? They don't want to know about pockets of coverage. They want to know that the service is going to work consistently across the globe. And that's when the need for scale becomes real. So, I mean, I think 10 years from now, what I really would like to see, to be honest with you, in our part of the industry, a lot of automation, right? I think even this conference where we are at was, a lot of things are still happening kind of in a very old-fashioned, right? The way we've done it for the last 20 years plus, right? So I think there is room to do more automation in the agreements themselves, in the settlement themselves, in the way the agreements then get implemented on the network and on the business side. So I think it should, I don't know if it's ever going to be 100% plug and play, but I think as an industry that should be our goal, right? To be as plug and play as possible. And then remove points of friction for the customers. Right? Like it should be very, very seamless for a roamer landing in a country for service to just work, to be fully informed about what the charges are going to be, what their experience is going to be. And that should be the goal, right? Like you should pretty much not see a difference between your service when you're home and when you're somewhere else. So you know, it's not easy, right? It's not a simple goal to achieve, but this is a very resilient industry, right? And I mean, people that are not from our industry don't really realize what goes into your phone working when you land, whatever it does. But you have, any given operator has anywhere between 500 and 700 roaming relationships, right? With their equivalent of all 220 countries around the world. So I think as an industry, we've proven that when we put our minds to something, we can make it happen, right? So I think if we align on the goals and the priorities, execution, I don't doubt. I think we'll definitely get it done. So I'm a big believer. I think it makes a lot of sense to have the networks be more programmable and easier exposed out to third party, whether application providers, industry customers. At the same time, as with all the buzzwords, you and me have been around for a long time. This is, in my career, the third or the fourth life of network APIs, right? So we've seen it before. But the reality is there are a lot of APIs already in place. They just were not very standardized, right? And I think that's the one thing that the industry is trying to get done right this time. And between Camara, the Open API Gateway Initiative, the APIs defined by the TM Forum, there is now no shortage on documentation as to how to make it look consistent for the non-telco parties that want access to the information, right? Which I think is a really big step forward. Because again, just like people don't know about what goes into a phone being able to attach on a network when you travel, we don't know the headaches that the application developers go through that don't come from the telco side, right? They are used to deploying their application on AWS or Google Cloud or Microsoft Azure, and they have very clear documents, artifacts that they have to integrate with, and things just work, right? They know the services they are going to get, and that application is going to work everywhere around the world. And I think when they think about getting information into our networks, or then getting exposure to the capabilities of our network to leverage those capabilities to offer a service to the end user, they want the same certainty, right? That no matter whether they are integrated, that device is going to be in a network in the US or in the UK or out here in Dubai, the service is going to work the same, right? And that's what the industry is trying to get right this time with this API initiative. And I think we have to do it, right? Because the end user, first and foremost, they care about the applications that they use, right? So how they get delivered, we need to make it simpler for them. As bullish as it's ever been in the industry, right? Because we've become, the cell phone is the one thing that people can't live without, right? Like, and this is us business people, this is my kids. You leave the house without your wallet and your ID, and you don't even realize. But you leave your house without the cell phone, and all of a sudden, you are in panic, right? So it's a tool that we use to communicate, to run our finances, to do everything, right? To run our business. So we're in the middle of everything. I think the opportunity is huge. I think as an industry, the operators, but us, the vendors too, we have to align on the top 3, 5 priorities and deliver to those, right? And I think we're very focused, avoid distractions, delivering what's important for the customer. I think the future is bright. Probably the number one would be, and this is going to sound a little strange, but trust the technology, right? One thing that still happens in telco quite a bit is we are in this conflict between kind of the very traditional companies that we were and the tech core, right? Yeah. Companies that want to become, right? And the transformation and the evolution probably cannot be fully realized unless you trust the machine, right? In a way, right? Like if you are still overruling automation through manual changes because you don't trust the technology that you're deploying, then you probably will never fully realize the benefits of the technology. So that would be probably the number one, is trust the technology. You've invested on it, you've trained your teams, you'll get the full benefit if you trust it, right? And will mistakes be made along the way? For sure, right? Nobody ever made an omelet without breaking a few eggs, right? That's just the way it is. So, but I think even from that perspective, the tech has come a long way in terms of assurance solutions, identifying problems, resolving them, closed loop assurance type solutions, where you can take a risk, be a very calculated risk, and be able to be in control at all times still.